Have you ever been hesitant about attending Halloween Horror Nights? Maybe you've been interested in going, but you're just not quite sure what you're getting yourself into. Well, today in this video, we're going to go over just how scary HHN is so you can know what to expect.
What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel that takes you through the fog with another Halloween Horror Nights video. Now, I do want to start off real quick by saying if my face looks a little funky, I actually just a few days ago got Bell's palsy, so this whole entire right side of my face does not work at all, barely. I mean, you can see my eye doesn't really blink, I can't move my mouth, so if I look a little funny, it's okay to laugh, I think it's hilarious, but hopefully soon it'll get back to normal and we're gonna still continue to make videos for you guys. But if you're new here, first of all, welcome to the channel. We discuss all things Orlando theme parks related, but mostly HHN because the haunt season is coming up very, very soon. So be sure to subscribe to join the community and give this video a big thumbs up, for it does help our channel out and give us the ability to create more content just like this one for all of you guys. But now let's go ahead and move on to today's topic, which is exactly how scary is HHN?
Now, we want to start this video off by saying that these are our own opinions based on our own experiences at HHN. Everyone gets scared by different things.
Some more than others, like myself.
So while our opinions may help you decide, if you do attend and the event is too intense for you, it's not our fault.
We also want to preface this video by giving you guys some background on us. Now, our opinions on the horror genre and haunted houses and all things scary are actually complete polar opposites, which should actually help give you a good gauge on how we feel about horror and how we feel about HHN in general.
So I am probably more of your typical HHN fan. I grew up loving everything scary, and I watched my first horror movie when I was very young, probably too young. But to this day, I love horror movies. I can watch them at night by myself with the lights off and sleep just fine that same night. And the only spooky thing that I love more than horror movies is haunted houses. I started going to local haunts when I was very young and just absolutely loved the immersion of them. So I am naturally a big fan of Halloween Horror Nights. Now,
my relationship with HHN is actually very complicated. I hate horror. I'm actually like really sensitive to like paranormal things. I don't like being scared. I hate scary things. So naturally I thought I would not like Halloween Horror Nights one bit, but boy was I wrong. That was until my first year of attending Halloween Horror Nights back in 2014 when I was actually surprised by a trip thanks to my mother. She surprised me and my family, and we all went to the parks. She got us tickets to go to Halloween Horror Nights, and I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I remember my first house was actually Halloween that year. I remember vividly standing in front of the house, like in the queue line, and just thinking like, this is it, this is where I die. I don't know why anybody want to be here. I was really terrified, I was scared. However though, standing there, I really quickly realized that there's probably a couple hundred people all around me. Now, Halloween Horror Nights, they have thousands of people there, so kind of calmed me down a bit knowing that I'm not the only person dying tonight. Everybody else is gonna die with me at least. But it was also one of those things too, even though the house itself of Halloween was so intimidating to me, it was also so beautiful to see that they can create something like this. Now, going through the house was like entering a completely different dimension for me. It was like actually being a part of the movie, which I was shocked. I've never seen the movie, but it felt like I was actually a part of it. Got out of the house and I became immediately hooked with this event. And that's where it began for me.
Now, both being big HHN fans, but having very different opinions on horror and scary things should give you a good idea of just how different HHN fans can be. So now let's talk about why many people assume that Halloween Horror Nights is the scariest haunt. HHN has been coined the nation's premier Halloween event, and it is, without question. You will not find a better haunt out there. Universal is amazing at recreating the movies and the stories and really putting you into the scene.
However, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the scariest event or even the most extreme.
There are haunted houses in the US that offer a much more extreme experience. haunts. Some of those haunts even require you to be 18, sign a waiver saying that they can touch you and separate you from your group, and even have safe words just in case it gets too intense.
So no, HHN is not the scariest or the most extreme haunt in the US. And we would even venture to say that some of these local and home haunts are actually much scarier because of the volume of guests they have and because of the lower budget effects that they would be able to put in the houses. But like we said, it's all based on each individual and everyone is different.
So let's get into some of the differences between HHN and some of the local haunts that makes HHN maybe not as scary. So first of all, the scare actors at HHN will not touch you. They are not allowed to touch you, and majority of the time they do not want to touch you. There are haunts out there that do allow the scare actors to touch you and even separate you from your group. In fact, last year we did go to one of these haunts in the Tampa Bay area called Screamageddon. We do have a video of that if you do want to watch it, but while it was a fun event, it was very, very scary.
Terrifying. I freaked out the entire way through the houses, but it was fun though. We actually enjoyed our time when we went. I was not prepared. Another difference between the local haunts and HHN is the audio effects. Universal, like we said, does an incredible job at putting you into the scene with the music and the sound effects as you're walking throughout the house. And they even have recorded sounds for each scare. However, at local haunts, you see the scare actors actually making their own noises, which could actually be a little more scary or less scary depending on your experience, but it could be also one of those things where just hearing one of those natural sounds from somebody can sound a little more convincing than just like a typical like recorded sound could be.
On top of that, in HHN houses, you will almost always hear at least music or effects going on, whereas in local haunts, sometimes you'll have long stretches of just like silence, and we honestly think that that is much creepier. And then last year, we also went to Sir Henry's Haunted Trail, which is in the Central Florida area and is a home haunt. And there were stretches in there where it was completely silent. It's just the two of us, and it was terrifying. But like we keep mentioning, that really depends on the person and what you personally find scarier.
One thing that I love about HHN is that it feels very planned out and much more controlled, whereas like the local haunts can feel raw, and as the guest, you can feel more vulnerable. And this actually leads us to the next difference that we want to talk about, and that is Halloween Horror Nights has tons of guests visiting every single night. Tons. They have to get everyone through the houses as quickly as possible to keep the lines moving, and the result of this is something we call conga lines.
This is the phrase that refers to the way guests are shuffled through the houses one after the other, kind of resembling a conga line. You're almost always guaranteed to have somebody in front of you and somebody behind you, which if you are scared, this can help because you don't get stuck with that unfortunate front or back position where you feel a little bit more susceptible to scares.
For the most part. Also, local haunts don't have to deal with the extremely large crowds that Universal has, so this gives them the ability to be able to split up people in the line to let them go through the houses in smaller groups. Meaning if you go with a group of just like 2 or 3 people, then that's probably all you're gonna go through the house with is just the 2 or 3 people. Or if for some reason you go to one of these haunts by yourself, then you're probably gonna go by yourself. That is what we did last year when we went through Screamageddon and Sir Henry's Haunted Trail, and honestly, I don't know how we made it through.
And the last difference that can help you if you are a little bit more hesitated about attending HHN is that it's located inside of a theme park. And not just any theme park, but Universal Orlando. Many local haunts only have, the houses and maybe some food, whereas Universal has an entire theme park that you can enjoy instead of going through the houses or scare zones. They do have world-class rides that they leave open for the event, or at least most of the rides. But also for HHN, they do typically have 2 shows, so the Lagoon Show and the Stage Show, which are Halloween themed but aren't scary.
Which we haven't heard any official announcement about a Lagoon Show or a Stage Show, but we're really confident they're coming back for this year's event.
And then they do also have food locations, shopping, and carnival games that you can enjoy if you do need a break from the scares.
One of the biggest tips that we actually give to people who do attend the event but do need a break from these houses as well as the scare zones is to simply just go on a few of the rides they have. This helps give you a completely different experience, but no less than what you would get anywhere else. So for instance, when I went back in 2014 for my first time, there was a part towards the end of the night where I was just like, all right, I'm kind of done with the houses. I've done a lot. I just need a break from all the scares. And I actually ended up going on The Mummy 3 times. This allowed me to kind of like get away from all the scares and just enjoy Universal as a whole and Horror Nights, because it put me in a completely different realm where I was like, man, I'm having such a fun time with the houses, needed a break, and I went on the rides. And I'm like, oh my God, these rides are so much fun. Like, you forget that they're actually open and they're not really that long of a wait time.
So finally, let's talk about if HHN is too scary for you or if you should attend. Now, you have to decide that for yourself, but there are some questions that you can ask yourself to kind of decide if it is right for you. Question number 1, have you been to or do you enjoy local haunts? If the answer is yes, then you will probably love HHN.
And the second question you gotta ask yourself is, do you like horror movies? If obviously the answer is yes, then you're going to love HHN. It feels like you're stepping right into the movies. However though, it is the safety of being in the theme park and it's not real.
And then question number 3, maybe you don't like horror movies, but do you like movies in general and theme parks? If the answer is yes, then you may still be okay. Some years they do have houses that are a little bit tamer. In 2019, they had Ghostbusters, and this year they will have Beetlejuice, which are both based on Halloween movies, but they aren't quite horror. So it still gives you the feeling of Halloween and you get to see those movies come to life, but it's not quite as scary. But like we've said multiple times, it is your decision if you do decide to go, because you know your fear tolerance the best.
But we will say, if you're on the fence about it, where you're kind of hesitant if you should or shouldn't go, we're gonna highly recommend just give it a shot. You never know. Like I said, nothing's gonna happen bad to you at the event. You may be a little scared, but we have other things at the parks that you can do versus the houses and the scare zones. So worst case scenario, you get to go there, not really enjoy the houses, too scary, but you get to do some rides and maybe some shows. And the best case scenario is that you figure out that, hey, there's a new event that you love going to every single year.
All right guys, so that does it for today's video. If you found this helpful, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more Halloween Horror Nights and theme park content.
And also just a quick reminder to our subscribers, or if you haven't subscribed, you need to do so in order to take a look at this. Today, the day we're posting this video, is Saturday the 24th, and it is the last day to enter our giveaway, which is the video right before this one. You'll see it's our 1K giveaway. So be sure, if you haven't entered there, that you go ahead and enter that giveaway, because this is the last day to do so at midnight, and then we'll announce the winner for this Monday. So that's gonna do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for watching along, and we cannot wait to catch you guys in the fog. Peace out, guys.